Close your eyes. Feel the ground beneath your feet tremble. Hear the distant roar of something ancient, something powerful. The world is not as you know it. There are no roads, no buildings, no sound of machines. Only the whispers of wind, through massive trees, the hiss of volcanoes bleeding fire into the sky, and the thunder of footsteps heavier than anything your mind can measure. This is Earth, but not your Earth. One giant continent stretches across the planet, surrounded by warm, shallow seas. The air is thicker, hotter, filled with the breath of a world still forming. Lightning dances across black clouds. Ash falls like snow. The sun is dim, filtered through a haze of gas and smoke. Something moves. Not one thing, but many. Slender shadows sprint across the underbrush, weaving between ferns the size of buildings. They are quick, bipedal, sharp-toothed. They chase, they flee, they learn. Their bones are hollow, their limbs light, their minds alert. They are survivors. These are the first dinosaurs. They do not rule yet, but they endure. And in a world of chaos, that is power. They eat insects, they scavenge meat. They compete with other reptiles. Some bigger, some stronger, but none faster. None more flexible. Evolution watches silently, approving. Time passes. Not hours, not days. Millions of years. The planet changes. Continents drift, mountains rise, oceans deepen. Other species come and go, but the dinosaurs remain. They do not just remain, they evolve. Some become giants, lumbering beasts with tails like trees and necks that reach the clouds. They move slowly, deliberately, shaking the earth with each step. They eat endlessly, stripping forests bare. Their size protects them. Few dare attack. Others become predators, hunters, flesh tearers, eyes forward, claws like blades, teeth curved like daggers. They stalk, ambush, kill. They learn to hunt in silence, in packs, under cover of night. Their brains grow with their hunger. They become masters of death. Still others adapt to the skies. Small ones first. Feathered, light, curious. They leap, they fall. They leap again. One day, they glide, then fly. The wind becomes their highway. Trees their launch pads. They scout, escape, explore. The dinosaurs now rule land, sea, and air. They thrive in deserts, in jungles, in swamps. They grow armor, horns, frills, spikes. Some are colorful, some are camouflaged, some are silent. Others scream. They communicate, not with words, but with calls, colors, dances. They warn, they threaten, they attract, they raise young, they defend nests. They live not as monsters, but as creatures of structure, of instinct, of purpose. Earth belongs to them. They do not know fear from above. They look up only to chase the sun or follow the stars. But far beyond those stars, something watches, something cold, something fast, something ancient. It does not roar, it does not hunt, it does not hunt, it does not live. It falls, and it is falling fast. It begins as a speck in the distant sky, invisible to all who walk the earth. It passes planets, moons, clouds of ice and rock. It does not slow, it does not turn, it does not feel. It is a fragment of death wrapped in stone and fire, and it is coming. Below, the dinosaurs live. They drink from rivers, hunt in packs, migrate through seasons. They do not know their time is numbered. They do not hear the warning. The skies seem calm. The forests echo with life. The seas teem with swimmers as long as buses and predators with teeth like swords. A giant herbivore tears leaves from a tree. Its massive tail sways behind it, unaware. A young predator watches from the underbrush, learning the patterns of movement, the rhythms of prey. A feathered creature glides above, scanning the ground below for insects, for shelter, for danger. They are alive. All of them, existing in perfect balance with the chaos of their world. The earth has seen fire before. It has seen extinction, but this will be different. The rock enters the atmosphere. The sky ignites, light floods the world, brighter than 1,000 suns. The air screams, trees catch fire without touching flame. Oceans pull back, as if in fear. Animals pause, sensing something, an ancient signal buried deep in their bones. But it is too late. Impact, the earth shatters. A crater the size of a nation opens in an instant. Shockwaves race around the globe. Winds faster than sound flatten forests. Tsunamis rise like walls and crush coastlines. The sky fills with ash, with dust, with pieces of the planet itself. Darkness falls not for hours, not for days, but for months. The fires come next. Everything that can burn does. Heat spreads like a fever across continents. The plants die. Then the small creatures. Then the giants. Food vanishes. Water becomes poison. The balance breaks. Some dinosaurs run. Some fight. Some hide. But there is nowhere to go. The air grows colder. The sun fades behind clouds of death. Plants stop growing. The chain of life snaps. One by one, species vanish. The hunters find nothing to hunt. The giants have nothing to eat. Nests grow cold. Eggs do not hatch. The age of dinosaurs ends not in one moment, but in silence. A silence that lasts for centuries. And yet, not everything dies. Beneath the ash, small creatures survive. Some are insects, some fish, some reptiles. And among them, tiny feathered dinosaurs, creatures who once leaped from trees, who once flew between branches, cling to life. They are weak, but they adapt. They are few, but they endure. And they will become something new. Not monsters, not rulers, but birds. The sky will belong to them again. Asterisk. In laboratories lit by fluorescent lights, human hands brush away layers of time. Brushes sweep delicately over stone. Picks chip gently at fossilized ribs. Scanners hum as they peer into ancient bones. The remains of giants are studied by creatures who never walked beside them. Creatures who now rule the earth not by size, but by thought. They assemble the skeletons, piece by piece. They recreate spines, claws, tails, skulls. They measure the angles of joints, the thickness of bone walls, the placement of feathers. And with each discovery, the image sharpens. What was once myth becomes shape. What was once imagination becomes science. They realize that not all dinosaurs were monsters. Some were graceful, some were gentle, some were warm-blooded, some cared for their young, some sang in museums. Towering skeletons cast shadows over curious children. Names are given: Tyrannosaurus, Triceratops, Velociraptor, Brachio. These names were never spoken in their time. But now they live again. In books, in films, in whispers, at bedtime. The age of dinosaurs never truly ended. It transformed. Artists paint their skins. Bright colors, feathers, patterns, movements, not beasts of horror, but animals of wonder. They chase prey across ancient plains. They wade through flooded forests. They rise into the skies on wings that beat like thunder. They are alive if only in memory, and memory grows. Satellites orbit the planet once ruled by claw and tail. Humans explore layers of rock like the pages of an unfinished book. Each layer a new chapter. Each fossil a forgotten sentence. The earth becomes a library. And the dinosaurs its most haunting story. But the story is not just about them. It is also about what comes after. Because in their extinction, they left behind possibility. Their absence opened doors. Their fall allowed mammals to rise. From them came apes. From apes came minds. And from minds came questions. What causes extinction? What makes one species thrive while another vanishes? What forces are too big to fight? What secrets are still buried? In the shadows of the past, warnings whisper. The asteroid was not a punishment. It was not evil. It was just nature. Indifferent, unstoppable. And it reminds the new rulers of Earth that nothing lasts forever. The humans dig deeper. They find footprints turned to stone, nests preserved in ash, feathers trapped in amber, eyes that never opened, death frozen in time. But also life. A glimpse of how the world once was. A record of how powerful and fragile existence can be. In a quiet field, a paleontologist lifts a bone from the soil. She holds it to the light. Around her, the wind moves through the grass. And for a moment, the world feels older. As if time itself is watching. She smiles. The dinosaurs are gone, but their story is still being written. In laboratories, lit by fluorescent lights, human hands brush away layers of time. Brushes sweep delicately over stone. Picks chip gently at fossilized ribs. Scanners hum as they peer into ancient bones. The remains of giants are studied by creatures who never walked beside them. Creatures who now rule the earth not by size but by thought. They assemble the skeletons piece by piece. They recreate spines, claws, tails, skulls. They measure the angles of joints, the thickness of bone walls, the placement of feathers. And with each discovery, the image sharpens. What was once myth becomes shape. What was once imagination becomes science. They realize that not all dinosaurs were monsters. Some were graceful, some were gentle, some were warm-blooded, some cared for their young. Some sang God in museums, towering skeletons cast shadows over curious children. Names are given: Tyrannosaurus, Triceratops, Velociraptor, Brachiosaurus. These names were never spoken in their time. But now they live again, in books, in films, in whispers at bedtime. The age of dinosaurs never truly ended, it transformed. Artists paint their skins, bright colors, feathers, patterns, movements, not beasts of horror, but animals of wonder. They chase prey across ancient plains, they wade through flooded forests. They rise into the skies on wings that beat like thunder. They are alive if only in memory, and memory grows. Satellites orbit the planet once ruled by claw and tail. Humans explore layers of rock like the pages of an unfinished book. Each layer a new chapter, each fossil a forgotten sentence. The Earth becomes a library, and the dinosaurs its most haunting story. But the story is not just about them, it is also about what comes after, because in their extinction they left behind possibility. Their absence opened doors. Their fall allowed mammals to rise. From them came apes. From apes came minds. And from minds came questions. What causes extinction? What makes one species thrive while another vanishes? What forces are too big to fight? What secrets are still buried? In the shadows of the past, warnings whisper. The asteroid was not a punishment. It was not evil. It was just nature, indifferent, unstoppable. And it reminds the new rulers of Earth that nothing lasts forever. The humans dig deeper, they find footprints turned to stone, nests preserved in ash, feathers trapped in amber, eyes that never opened, death frozen in time but also life, a glimpse of how the world once was, a record of how powerful and fragile existence can be. In a quiet field, a paleontologist lifts a bone from the soil. She holds it to the light. Around her, the wind moves through the grass, and for a moment, the world feels older. As if time itself is watching. She smiles. The dinosaurs are gone, but their story is still being written. The story spreads across classrooms and documentaries, through stories and dreams. The tale of the dinosaurs becomes legend, then knowledge, then inspiration. Children draw them with crayons. Scientists write papers filled with graphs and Latin names. Filmmakers bring them to life with pixels and sound. They roar again, not in jungles, but in theaters, in museums, in the minds of millions, but beyond the facts and the bones and the data, something deeper stirs. A question. Why did they rule for so long? What made them last for over 160 million years, when humans have only scratched a tiny mark on the surface of history? It wasn't just their size. It wasn't just their teeth. It was their ability to adapt. They were shaped by disaster and reshaped by survival. Every extinction event before the final one made them stronger, faster, more diverse. They filled every ecological niche: hunters, grazers, swimmers, flyers. They learned without thought, evolved without hesitation. They were nature at its most creative, and their end was not their fault. It came from the sky, from a place they could not reach. Even their might, their claws, their size meant nothing to a burning mountain falling from the stars. Now, as humans walk the earth, they face their own changes, their own threats, some born of nature, some of their own making. The sky no longer brings asteroids, but it carries carbon, heat, storms. The oceans rise, the forests shrink, the air grows heavier, and so, the story of the dinosaurs becomes more than history, it becomes a mirror. They were the rulers once, but they are gone. We are the rulers now. But for how long will we adapt? Will we survive the changes we create? Will we leave behind bones and questions, or will we learn from those who came before? In every fossil, there is not just a memory, but a warning. Not everything powerful survives. Not everything intelligent endures. Survival does not care for greatness, it cares for adaptability. And in the end, the earth moves on with or without its rulers. Above us, birds fly through the sky, singing songs passed down from ancestors who once walked with thunder. They are the last dinosaurs. They live in our trees, in our skies, in our stories. They remind us every day that extinction is not the end. It is only a change, and somewhere deep in the soil, another bone waits, another truth waits, another story waits. The story doesn't end, because Earth never stops telling it. Every storm that shapes the land, every quake that breaks the crust, every tide that pulls the shore, these are pages of the same book. The world remembers, even when we forget. and it hides those memories in stone. Somewhere, a team of scientists kneels on a desert floor. Their hands are blistered, their clothes covered in dust. One of them taps against something hard, buried in the red soil. A ridge, a curve, not a rock. Something older. Something with weight. The team gathers, brushes sweep, and the shape is revealed, a skull. Long, narrow, serrated teeth still sharp. The ground has given them another voice from the past. Back in the lab, under lights and silence, the skull is scanned, measured, reconstructed. The data feeds a computer model, which renders skin, eyes, muscles, and slowly, the past becomes visible. A dinosaur that no human ever saw, now stands again in pixels and theory. In imagination and science. But this is not just for spectacle. This is understanding. The way they walked, the way they hunted, the way they lived. Each discovery teaches more about biology, about climate, about survival. The dinosaurs are not just extinct animals. They are keys. Every bone, every footprint, every preserved feather is a lesson in a classroom. A child listens to the story of extinction, of the asteroid, of the fire and the darkness. She asks, could it happen again? And the teacher pauses, then says, quietly, yes. Because the Earth is still vulnerable, because the universe is still in motion, because nothing lasts forever. But the child is not afraid. She is curious. She begins to draw a dinosaur, yes, but one flying. One surviving, one adapting, because even in loss, there is always change. In the forests, birds still sing. Their hearts beat fast, like their ancestors. Their bones are hollow, their instincts sharp. They are not echoes. They are continuation. And deep below, untouched. Layers of rocks still hold the secrets of the ones that didn't make it. In Antarctica, a team drills into ice that has not melted in millions of years. They search not for oil, not for treasure, but for time. Trapped in the frozen layers are particles, spores, remnants of worlds long gone. Within the ice lies a memory of the climate that killed the dinosaurs. And maybe, a warning of what might come again. The past is not silent. It speaks in sediment, it roars in fossils, it whispers in the wings of birds, and always, it asks the same question: what comes next? The question echoes through time, carried not in sound but in layers of earth, in the silent language of extinction and emergence. What comes next? What rises after the fall? And how do we know when our turn will come? In a jungle teeming with life, where monkeys swing and insects buzz and predators stalk silently through the brush, no one remembers the dinosaurs. But beneath the tangled roots, bones sleep. They have lain there longer than any tree, longer than any river. The jungle grows over them, feeds on the minerals they left behind, forgets their shape but not their story. In the open plains of Africa, a lion roars. It rules now, as others did before. Its strength echoes the past. Its fangs, its hunt, its hunger reflections of something far older. But the lion will not last forever either. No ruler does. On a remote island, a volcano rumbles. It has erupted before. It will erupt again. And when it does, it will bury everything in fire and ash, just as it did millions of years ago. Dinosaurs knew that heat. Some died by it. Others were born because of it. Destruction, always followed by renewal. The pattern continues. Change is the only constant in the depths of the ocean, where light never touches. Creatures thrive without eyes, without color, without warmth. They resemble nothing we know, yet their biology follows paths laid down during the age of reptiles. Their cells carry echoes of extinct DNA. The deep sea never forgot. In a lab orbiting Earth, astronauts run tests on bacterial spores recovered from ancient rock layers. The spores survived heat, cold, radiation. Life from the past, still alive, still adapting. Proof that extinction is not always total. Sometimes, life shrinks into silence, into waiting. And then, when the moment is right, it returns. Perhaps the dinosaurs never fully left. Not just in birds, not just in bones, but in the very design of survival. In the instinct to move when the earth shakes. In the need to migrate when the air changes. In the way mothers still protect their young, even at the edge of death. These things are ancient, older than words, older than thought. They are the inheritance of all who came before. And now, we are the stewards of that memory. Humans build machines, fly across the sky, dive into the sea, split atoms, rewrite genes, speak to satellites, but the Earth watches quietly, knowing that even the greatest rulers can fall, and when they do, something else always rises. Perhaps, one day, far in the future, long after we are gone, another species will walk this planet. They will find our bones, our cities, our machines rusted and buried. And they will ask, what were these creatures? How did they live? Why did they vanish? They will study us as we studied the dinosaurs, and they will learn. Because extinction does not erase, it teaches. And if we listen closely, beneath the noise of our age, we can still hear the lessons written in stone. In ash, in silence, the dinosaurs are gone, but they were never wasted. They are the reason we are here, and they are the reminder that we, too, are temporary. Asterisk, somewhere, deep in the earth, untouched by sunlight, sealed beneath layers of time, rests the final vertebra of a creature, whose name no human ever spoke. Its bones are curled as if in sleep, jaws shut forever, eyes never to open again. Around it, the rock is quiet. The pressure of millions of years has pressed history into silence. But that silence is not empty. It holds everything. The earth carries its memory in fossils, in faults, in mountains made from uplifted seafloors. It remembers in ways humans cannot, through erosion, through ice, through magma. And the memory of the dinosaurs is written not just in the shape of bones, but in the shape of what came next. There is a tree whose roots stretch deep into soil, enriched by the decay of ancient forests once trampled by sauropods. A tree that feeds birds, whose songs echo into canyons carved by water that once carried the bodies of fallen giants. Each cycle, each season, each life, is another note in the unfinished song of the earth. And we are part of it now. Our cities rise on rock, laid down in the age of reptiles. Our machines dig through sediments that once held nests. We build monuments to ourselves, forgetting that the earth beneath them is older than memory. But some remember. There are those who stand in deserts for hours, gently brushing dust from bones, those who dive into coal mines and pull out fragments of fronds from forests that bloomed long before mammals dreamed, those who lift amber to the light and see, frozen forever, a feather that once felt the wind of a forgotten sky, and with each discovery, they add another sentence to the story. They don't just ask how the dinosaurs lived, they ask what it means to live at all, what it means to endure, what it means to vanish. In the quiet corners of the world, nature continues. The birds wake early and call out not in fear, but in rhythm. The wind moves across stone once warmed by the sun on a dinosaur's back. The stars shine down, unchanged, watching another age unfold. The story of the dinosaurs is not a closed book, it is a river sometimes buried, sometimes forgotten, but always flowing. It tells us that greatness is no shield, that survival is not given, but earned again and again, that the earth is both cradle and crucible, and that every rise is followed by a fall, and every fall, by something new. We walk the same ground, we breathe the same air, we dream under the same sky. We are not the first, we will not be the last, but for now we remember. And in remembering, we keep them alive, not just in museums or textbooks or films, but in the way we see time, in the way we see life, in the way we understand that nothing truly disappears, it only changes form, and waits to be discovered again. Asterisk, the last light of the day sinks behind a mountain range that did not exist during the Age of Dinosaurs. Shadows stretch over the land, cool and ancient. The stars begin to emerge unchanged, patient, watching. They are the same stars that looked down upon the backs of brachiosaurs, that blinked in the black sky as the asteroid fell, that burned through the smoke of extinction. Time moves forward, but memory lingers. A child stands in a field, eyes turned upward. In one hand, a plastic toy dinosaur, in the other, a flashlight. He doesn't know the names, he doesn't know the science, but he knows the feeling. Something big, something gone, something still alive in his imagination. He roars into the night, and for a moment, he isn't human. He's something older, wilder, free. Across the globe, children draw them. Some with claws too big, or eyes too red, or wings that never existed. But that doesn't matter. What matters is the connection to a world without people, to a time when life ruled without fences, without fear, without direction, a time when instinct was law and evolution was God. The dinosaurs are not just fossils. They are ideas, symbols of what life can become when it is unleashed, and symbols of how fragile even the mighty can be. Museums hold their bones, but minds hold their meaning. A T-Rex skull does not just represent a predator, it represents mystery, power, loss, legacy. We tell their story again and again, not just to learn about them, but to learn about ourselves. Why did they rule for so long? Why did they vanish so fast? Why, after all this time, do they still haunt us? Because we see in them both the apex and the edge, the peak of dominance and the brink of destruction, and somewhere, in our bones, we recognize the pattern. We are not separate from nature's rules. We are part of the same story. A chapter written in different ink, but bound to the same book. There will be a day far from now. Perhaps when we are gone. When the skyscrapers fall. When the languages fade. When even our memory slips into dust. And maybe then, something else will rise. Maybe it will dig through our cities the way we dig through sediment. Maybe it will find our bones, our tools, our mistakes. And maybe, just maybe, it will ask the same questions we ask now. Who were they? How did they live? Why did they disappear? And in that moment, the dinosaurs will speak again, not in sound, not in flesh, but in legacy, because every species tells a story. Ours is still being written, but theirs began long before us, and will echo long after. Somewhere, deep in the heart of an ancient canyon, rain begins to fall. It trickles over stones shaped by time, over cliffs carved by rivers long gone, over layers of sediment laid down one grain at a time. Each layer is a chapter. Each drop of water carries memory. Not just of weather or erosion, but of life. It seeps through fossils, through footprints preserved in rock, through the spaces once filled with marrow and muscle. It drips over the ribs of a creature that once breathed beneath a different sky. The rain does not know what it touches, but the earth remembers, because the bones remember. They remember running. They remember hunting. They remember rising toward the sun, lifting wings for the first time, letting go of the branch, trusting the wind. They remember living. The world above changes. Technology grows. Satellites circle the globe. AI learns to speak. Humans stretch toward other planets, carrying dreams in metal ships. But the ground beneath still holds silence, still holds truth. And the truth is simple. All that rises will fall. All that dominates will vanish. All that breathes will one day become still, but not meaningless. Never meaningless, because life is not measured in how long it rules. It is measured in what it leaves behind. The dinosaurs ruled for 160 million years. They shaped the earth, seeded the sky, laid the foundation for what came after. And what they left behind is everywhere, in feathers, in birdsong, in the curve of a child's spine. When they run without thinking, in the silence between thunderclap, in the rhythm of survival. The boy with the toy dinosaur grows up. He becomes a scientist, or a teacher, or a writer, or a father. And in each version of his life, the shadow of those ancient creatures follows him. He tells their story. Two students, two children, two strangers, to himself. Because stories are how we remember, and remembrance is how we defy time. So long as someone speaks of them, they are not extinct. So long as a fossil is held in a careful hand, they are not forgotten. So long as birds rise into the morning light, casting shadows with wings born in the age of thunder, they live. And so will we, if we learn, if we listen, if we remember that greatness without humility, power without balance, and rule without awareness, are nothing but illusions. The dinosaurs teach us more than science. They teach us legacy, and in their fall, they give us a chance to rise. Not as rulers of the earth, but as its guardians. And now, the last light fades from the story, not into darkness, but into continuity. Because some stories don't end, they evolve. Just as the dinosaurs did, just as the earth does. Just as we must. In every corner of the planet, traces of them linger, not just in bones, not just in books, but in patterns. In the beating wings of birds, migrating across continents. In the scales of reptiles, sunbathing on hot rocks. In the careful structure of ecosystems, predator and prey. Balance and imbalance, adaptation and collapse. We walk among the echoes of giants, though we rarely notice. But they are there, in the shape of a chicken's foot, in the arc of a hawk's flight, in the hollow bones of a sparrow, in the instinct that tells an animal when to run, when to fight, when to freeze. All born in the same furnace that forged claws and teeth and thunderous steps. It would be easy to think of dinosaurs only as a lost world, something dead, something ended. But that would miss the truth. The truth is, they were never truly lost. They became part of the fabric of life. They are stitched into the DNA of the planet. They are the hum, Beneath the melody, the shadow, beneath the light. The past that shaped the present hand will shape the future. There is a girl standing in front of a fossilized skeleton in a museum. Her eyes are wide, her mouth slightly open. She doesn't move. She doesn't blink. She imagines it alive. Not as a monster but as something real. Something breathing, blinking, watching her back. And in that moment, it is real again, it has returned. Through her, through imagination, through understanding, through awe. That is the legacy of dinosaurs. 2. Remind us of time. Of fragility, of strength, of mystery, of the sheer, unstoppable will of life to continue, to change, to survive in after the worst. They lived longer than we have yet dreamed of lasting, and though they fell, they did not fail. They fulfilled their role. They paved the path, and they passed the torch to us. What we do now, how we treat this world, how we learn from the past, will decide what bones are left behind, what fossils are found, what stories are told by those who come next. The earth will keep moving, the stars will keep watching, and far beneath our feet, the heart of the dinosaurs will keep beating, not in noise, not in flesh. But in memory, in lesson, in legacy, and that never goes extinct. Asterisks somewhere far beyond this moment. Centuries from now, when names like ours have faded and monuments have crumbled into dust, a new life form may kneel in a sunlit valley, brush away layers of sediment, and lift a piece of history from the ground. It might not know what we were, it might not speak our language, but it will feel the weight of the fossil in its hands, and it will wonder, just as we wondered, just as we do now, because the cycle continues, not just of bones and earth but of curiosity. The same curiosity that drove a young child to pick up a rock and ask, what lived here? The same curiosity that gave birth to science, to art, to story. The same curiosity that made us dig deep, not just into soil, but into time. Dinosaurs gave us more than bones. They gave us perspective, a view of a world without us, a reminder that the earth is not ours, it never was. We are guests. Temporary, borrowing time, and just like them, we will one day return to the ground, leaving behind only traces, a ribcage, a tool, a question, and that's enough, because the value of a life isn't measured by how long it lasts, or how loud it roars, but by what it leaves behind. The dinosaurs left behind a blueprint of wonder, a mystery that keeps unfolding, a legacy that reminds us, greatness isn't about control, it's about harmony. They ruled because they fit into the world, they fell because the world changed. We too are at a turning point, and what we choose now, how we live, how we care, how we protect will shape the stories future hands will uncover. Maybe they'll find our cities, our writings, our skeletons curled in rest, and maybe, just maybe, they'll look upon us not as a warning, but as a bridge between what was and what can still be. The story of the dinosaurs lives in us now, not just in our science, not just in our museums, but in our responsibility to listen to the earth, to respect its memory, and to leave behind something worthy of being found. And so, with the final turn of the earth beneath our feet, the story comes full circle, not with an end, but with an invitation to remember, to imagine, to protect. Because the tale of the dinosaurs was never just about creatures lost to time. It was about time itself, about how it stretches and folds, how it buries and reveals, how it humbles the proud and lifts the forgotten. It's about the silence after the roar, the stillness after the storm, the life that waits patiently beneath layers of ash and ice and earth until the world is ready again. We live now in a narrow window between yesterday's bones and tomorrow's fossils, and in this window, we have power. To choose whether we are caretakers or conquerors, to decide whether the next species that studies our remains will read a story of destruction or of wisdom. Because extinction does not come only from the sky. It can rise from our own hands. But so can survival, so can wonder. So can legacy. Look up those stars, watch the dinosaurs walk. Look around those birds carry their blood, look down those stones, remember every footstep, and look within your own story is part of something ancient, something vast, something still unfolding. The dinosaurs are not gone. They are everywhere, in feather and fossil, in memory and metaphor, in the echo of every thunderstorm, in the whisper of every wing beat. They live in us and through us and beyond us. Because real life never truly ends. It transforms, it returns, it waits, and if we are wise enough to listen, it teaches. And now, as the final echoes of this ancient tale settle into the silence of thought, one truth remains. The story was never only about them, it was always about us, too, because in every extinction, there is a mirror, and in every fossil, a question: what will we leave behind? We know now that empires of flesh can vanish overnight, that skies can turn to fire, that the rulers of the world can be erased not by war or weakness but by time, by chance, by a shift in the balance. We know that life adapts but only if it listens. Only if it changes, only if it respects the forces greater than itself. The dinosaurs ruled with might, but we rule with memory, with awareness, with a choice to build, not just for ourselves but for what comes after, to walk the earth, not as owners, but as stewards. To leave behind more than ruins, to leave behind wisdom. Let us be the first species to learn from those who fell before us. Let us be the bridge between extinction and evolution, between what was and what could be. Let us write a story in the stone that speaks not of ignorance or arrogance but of awakening. Let the bones they find tell a story, not only of what we were, of what we became. And as the stars continue to shine just as they did over the spines of stegosaurs and the wings of pterosaurs, may they look down on a world that learned, a world that remembered, a world that gave its future something worth discovering. Because the age of the dinosaurs has passed, but the age of understanding has only just begun. And in that understanding, they live on. Forever, there is nothing more to add. The story has returned to silence, just as the earth always does after thunder. But if you listen closely, beneath the hum of machines, beneath the noise of cities, beneath your own heartbeat, you may still feel it. A tremor, a memory, a pulse that began long before you were born, and will continue long after you are gone. That is the legacy of the dinosaurs. Not just creatures who ruled and fell, but chapters in a book still being written. And now, the pen is in your hands. And now, as the final echoes of this ancient tale settle into the silence of thought, one truth remains: the story was never only about them, it was always about us, too, because in every extinction, there is a mirror, and in every fossil, a question: what will we leave behind? We know now that empires of flesh can vanish overnight, that skies can turn to fire, that the rulers of the world can be erased not by war or weakness but by time, by chance, by a shift in the balance. We know that life adapts but only if it listens. Only if it changes, only if it respects the forces greater than itself. The dinosaurs ruled with might, but we rule with memory, with awareness, with a choice to build, not just for ourselves but for what comes after, to walk the earth, not as owners, but as stewards. To leave behind more than ruins, to leave behind wisdom. Let us be the first species to learn from those who fell before us. Let us be the bridge between extinction and evolution, between what was and what could be. Let us write a story in the stone that speaks not of ignorance or arrogance but of awakening. Let the bones they find tell a story, not only of what we were, of what we became. And as the stars continue to shine just as they did over the spines of stegosaurs and the wings of pterosaurs, may they look down on a world that learned, a world that remembered, a world that gave its future something worth discovering. Because the age of the dinosaurs has passed, but the age of understanding has only just begun. And in that understanding, they live on. Forever, there is nothing more to add. The story has returned to silence, just as the earth always does after thunder. But if you listen closely, beneath the hum of machines, beneath the noise of cities, beneath your own heartbeat, you may still feel it. A tremor, a memory, a pulse that began long before you were born, and will continue long after you are gone. That is the legacy of the dinosaurs. Not just creatures who ruled and fell, but chapters in a book still being written. And now, the pen is in your hands.